Coach PJ here. Ever wonder how something becomes a household name? How the brand explodes and takes off? Well, we're going to take a look at the KitchenAid stand mixer, which really is an icon in kitchens. And let's see how it plays out.
This is a KitchenAid stand mixer, the Artisan Series 5-quart tilt head stand mixer, to be exact. It's iconic.
That mid-century design it's sleek, it's beautiful, it's like sensual and its softness, and it hasn't changed in years.
I love those vintage machines. They are they're workhorses. They're amazing.
My KitchenAid and I are best friends at this point.
Yes, it is more expensive, but it is the last mixer you will ever buy.
Runaway sensations The Great British Bake Off and Nailed It have gotten millennials pumped about baking, not to mention the pandemic-induced baking boom. But America's love affair with the KitchenAid stand mixer is much deeper than that. The KitchenAid is the go-to for professionals and home cooks alike. From Julia Child, Martha Stewart, and Molly Yeh, to America's Test Kitchen and Duff Goldman, it seems everyone uses a KitchenAid. Here's how the KitchenAid mixer took over America's counter space.
So before they get into it, full disclosure on my part, I have a KitchenAid stand mixer. I've had it, I believe I got it as a wedding gift over 30 years ago. And ironically enough, my husband worked for KitchenAid Small Appliances, where they make the stand mixer and where they design it. He was an engineer in that department, looking at stand mixers, looking at coffee makers, looking at all the countertop appliances for KitchenAid in Benton Harbor, Michigan. So kind of interesting that is my history with the mixer. I love my stand mixer. And I'm curious how it actually came to be a status symbol. If you can see in the early part of this video, they do look like there's a lot of product placement. And when I'm saying product placement is that it's showing up in stores. It's showing up in video, TV. It's showing up in places to be a symbol and to be recognized as a high quality product. But let's see what happened and what's the evolution over the years of how you really build a brand and a staple that has the longevity that KitchenAid has had.
Suddenly obsessed. All in, the U.S. mixer market brought in just shy of $1 billion in 2020. KitchenAid is responsible for about 28% of that revenue. Whirlpool has sold over 31 million KitchenAid mixers since 2008, which means it's producing over 2.5 million mixers annually out of its 476,200 square foot facility in Greenville, Ohio. KitchenAid has been helping bakers mix their ingredients for over a century. In 1914, the Hobart Manufacturing Company introduced the model A80, an 80-quart commercial bakery mixing machine. The name KitchenAid was coined by the wife of an executive on the team. In 1919, it created a smaller 5-quart version called the H5, intended for at-home use. But let's just say the design was heavy and clunky. So in 1937, the company hired an outside designer to revamp its mixer. The Model K was born. In 1955, the company introduced 5 colors and became a mainstay in American kitchens. In 1986, Whirlpool Corporation bought KitchenAid for a reported $150 million. That would be over $356 million today. Prices range from $199 for the miniature version, $220 for its base tilt-head model, to over $1,000 for the top-of-the-line full-lift model.
They are probably the most trustworthy, sturdy machines on the market at that price point.
Throughout the decades, plenty of other stand mixers hit the market, but there are 2 reasons KitchenAid became a household name. First is the way the KitchenAid mixer uses planetary motion to fold in the ingredients. Planetary motion means it runs in two orbital operating directions. The head spins one way, and the tool spins the other way. This helps both whip and hold the ingredients. An engineer for the company put this in an email. If you were just to spin the beaters in one direction, you only stirred the mix. The second reason for its lasting appeal is durability. KitchenAid fanatic and repairman Mr. Mixer says with proper care, your KitchenAid can outlive you.
It's a machine. They need to be tended to, taken care of. They're expensive, and to just have them serviced every couple of years is one way to make sure that they run indefinitely. Old Faithful, that's what I would call them. It's a household name like, the Ford pickup.
The average age of a stand mixer in the U.S. household is somewhere between 6 and 10 years old. That's ancient by today's appliance standard, other than adding new color.
I'm going to stop there for a minute. He says a couple of things. One is they talked about the engineering, and I love this because my husband was one of the engineers in the countertop appliance group. The engineering, and engineering is important. You can have the greatest looking product, the greatest appealing product, but if the engineering isn't solid, then it won't have the longevity it needs to have. And it's giving something a little different. It's of that planetary motion, which basically mixes versus stirs. Subtle, but for those of us who bake and those of us who like to be in the kitchen, that's a really important element because you do want to make sure that what you're making has that mixing motion to it. And it also, they went from that industrial looking to 5 different colors, which was a real appeal in the home market. So they actually took that level and said, let's get to the home market, and went down that path. But he does talk about servicing it. He does talk about the age of it. It is a solidly built, well-engineered product, and that's the foundation of it. Let's keep watching.
Colors. The KitchenAid is essentially the same today as it was in 1969. Even the attachments from those older models fit today's machines. The company replaced one internal metal component with a Kevlar reinforced design in 1997. But even that was met with praise. KitchenAid says the Kevlar reinforced gear is engineered to improve internal durability. Lainey Townsend, who's been fixing mixers for 4 years, says this.
What it does is if you're overloading your motor on your KitchenAid, it will deliberately break. So you save your motor. It doesn't push through like a metal one will.
To say KitchenAid has built a strong fan base is a bit of an understatement.
My relationship with KitchenAid is honestly pretty deep.
She and I are definitely in a committed relationship. My KitchenAid and I are best friends at this point.
I have at least 30, probably closer to 40, but that number is constantly changing.
Dan Valenti, Vice President of KitchenAid Small Appliances, says he was taken by surprise by the deep connection people have with the kitchen appliance when he joined the team 7 years ago.
I couldn't understand the passion and just the pure love and joy that consumers get out of the KitchenAid stand mixer. They tattoo the stand mixer to their body.
Some folks will even pay to get their mixers custom painted. The long lifespan of a KitchenAid mixer is one reason for that deep emotional connection. The longer a KitchenAid is in someone's home, the more memories are tied to it.
It's one of the more popular hand-me-down gifts. Think of products that you actually desire to have a hand-me-down, a used stand mixer within your family. They pass from generation to generation.
The KitchenAid mixer has also become a sort of rite of passage into adulthood.
I, like most people, grew up with that iconic white KitchenAid on the kitchen counter in my home. To me, it always really symbolized a stepping up or like a leveling up in both like culinary skill and also life goals.
While KitchenAid mixers make...
Let's talk about a couple things there. He mentioned the longer it stayed in your house, the more ingrained it gets. So think about that. The more you use a product, the more it's part of your home, the more it becomes a fixture. And it's a high quality, which is important, and I don't want to negate that. It becomes associated with memories. And food, which happens to be a big memory builder for many of us, associated with food and memories and a fixture. And because of the size of it, and I didn't mention this, many people keep it on their kitchen counter. So it has a visual representation as well, so that it actually is one of the things that sits on your kitchen counter in many homes. So that visual cue is a part of it as well. Well, let's keep watching and see what else they have to say.
Great wedding gifts and housewarming presents. Many entrepreneurial bakers have built profitable businesses around them. After receiving her KitchenAid as a Christmas gift 5 years ago, Emily Najad opened a bakery called Bon Vivant Cakes in Chicago.
KitchenAid literally gave me my career. You know, it like set me on a different trajectory. I didn't even know that I wanted to do it. I didn't even know that I was good at it. It gave me the tools to envision a whole new, wonderful life for myself.
After upgrading from a hand mixer to the KitchenAid stand mixer this summer, Lisa Gray was able to expand her baking operation, Little Gray Bakery in New York City.
At this point, I am sold out for my December cookies, so I have 20 to 30 orders per week for the next 3 weeks. So just me and this KitchenAid are making about 300 cookies every 3 days in order to fulfill the amount of orders that I have. She has been getting a major workout. This KitchenAid has been going 24/7, 3 times a day, 3 times a week.
We've had such a boost from just the COVID demand. Small appliances overall typically grows at a couple points per year. So the jump in the category is sizable.
As the pandemic forced us all indoors, folks are turning to homemade baked goods like sourdough bread and cookies for comfort and to kill time. And with millions of recipes and tutorials on YouTube, anyone can bake, regardless of skill.
I'm a self-taught baker. I have no formal training. I went to YouTube University and just taught myself everything that I know. And without that KitchenAid mixer, like that was it. Like that was the whole first step for me.
There are cheaper stand mixers out there, but few, if any, have as devoted following as KitchenAid. It comes down to one simple thing: great design.
I tell people too, when you buy a KitchenAid, yes, it is more expensive, but it is the last mixer you will ever buy. I tell people to put them in their wills because they will outlive you.
I love that element of handing down your mixer, that element of that it's going to last forever. And a well-made, well-designed mixer is important. It's almost a status symbol, and it has elevated itself into that element. So if you're thinking about a product, if you're thinking about creating a brand, think about quality, think about how you connect to it, because that's how the brands are created. If you like what I had to say today, put comments below, like, subscribe to this channel. Love to hear about other videos, other things you'd like me to react to. Your business profit. Until next time.